Hi BookTube, it's Amy. I'm here with the fourth chapter of James Milne's A London Book Window. And this one is titled Color and Reading. And I've read this chapter already, and I am almost positive that Milne is being humorous, he's being witty with the content of this chapter. But given the sharp and straight shooting style of his humor, it's a little bit hard to tell, and I'm not 100% positive that he isn't at least a little bit serious about the proposals he makes in this chapter. So the color that he's talking about is the color of book bindings. So for instance, his book is bound in blue cloth, and he makes assertions about what different binding colors attract what readers. So for instance, he says that scholarly men are attracted by green bindings and young women are attracted to red bindings, and on like that. But I'll read it to you and I'll let you decide whether he is serious or whether it is all in good humor and jest. So chapter 4, Color and Reading. We know that in nature there is a coloration which hides wild things against other wild things and against man. The partridge is brown, and so might be a small dot on the brown fields where it is to be found. The brown hare of the Scottish uplands becomes bluish-white in the winter, and even the eye of an eagle in flight might miss it among the snow. Nature has wise ways which are taken for granted, but you would hardly fancy that coloration comes into our reading. A well-known novelist once said, speaking of his own ways of writing, "I think in pictures." That is coloration in the creation of literature, and if we are to have anything but so much pedestrian writing, it has to be present, for it means passion, action, everything that makes a book human and readable. Again, however, that is not what here really concerns us, because this is the call of certain colors of bindings, more than others, to readers. A scholarly man likes a green binding because it is quiet and helps him to be what he is after being, reflective. A poet or an artist likes a soft, neutral binding, perhaps because it has no element in it to disturb self-communion. A traveler or a hunter likes a cover of a substantial color, but he will lighten it with, say, a picture of hunting trophies done in gold. You will find on the cover of the Marquis Curzon's Tales of Travel a reproduction of a very brilliant order which Abdur, once the Emir of Afghanistan, designed and gave to him. It is, however, when we come to novels and to women, the great readers of them, that we reach coloration in bookbinding at its psychological height. You will know the London libraries of Moody and Smith, of the Times Book Club and Boots, for they are all great institutions in the circulation of books. Suppose you visit one of them, keep an eye on the shelves from which novels may be chosen by readers, and see how the choice runs. Almost to a certainty, a woman will first put her hand on a novel which has a red binding. If you were to ask her why, she could not tell you, for she makes her choice instinctively. Is it that red betokens the kind of novel which she wants, something with the adventure of womanhood in it? Possibly. Anyhow, she will open the novel, look rapidly at a page or two, and either decide to take it or not take it. It is extraordinary how rapidly one can get the atmosphere of a novel, and if it be all right, the characters may take care of themselves, and they will do so. One thinks of the harmless jingle, "The rose is red, the violet's blue, sugar sweet, and so are you," because it takes us to the next color most popular with a woman in search of a novel. It is blue, and for some reason a light blue, such as you may see about when the streets are gay with summer frocks, and when the sun shines. Blue, of course, is true love, or at all events there is a tradition that it stands for that, and ever so much sweetness and light. Perhaps we have in this tradition and association the explanation why a blue book cover comes next to a red one in drawing power. It expresses romance while it is young and carefree, before it has been gnarled with the problems which find their expression in red. Quite likely, then, it is the young woman, rather than the other woman, who most patronizes the blue binding. She sees it in her dreams and visions as they swim poetically before her eyes, and she hopes, when she opens the book, to to find herself within the blue. But if she be a girl still on the brink of womanhood, you will discover that, though the blue cover has taken her psychologically, she will apply another test to the story before she decides to read it. She glances for a moment at the opening pages. They do not carry the elements of decision for her that they carry to the older woman. She wants to have some idea what she is going to read, because there is no sense in taking home a book that won't be interesting. Even so, she will gamble a little on that if she is sure the end will be fair and well, meaning that it will be a happy ending. She does not wish to spoil her reading by knowing just how things work out in detail, but she likes to feel that they do work out in marriage bells or in reunions, not in tragedies such as some of our young realists, and realists is in quotations here, insist upon having. It is read then for full-blown romance in, shall we say, the Byronic spirit. It is blue for the love of girls and the heroes, handsome, manly gentlemen, every inch of them, who are in their hearts. The third color of asking is green, and how are we to work out the strata of psychology which gives it that place? Is it that readers who neither see blue nor red concentrate on green as being a color into which they may read anything or read nothing? Green grows the rushes, oh, long live the lasses, oh, sang Robert Burns. But nothing can be more demure than greenery. Possibly, then, many people choose green mansions in a bookish way, because they are most comfortable alike to the mind and the eye. It is a happiness of bookland that you can find every color in it, as well as every sort of adventure for the mind, the heart, and the soul. Somebody will ask, does the three-color test as to novels and ladies hold when a bookshop and the buying of books are concerned, not just a circulating library and borrowing? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that if the psychology of the business came into play, the outcome would be the same. But no, for the reason that novels laid out in a bookshop are all in their jackets, and therefore one does not see the color of the binding unless these are removed. A consequence of this blanketing, as one may term it, is that jackets are now playing their part in influencing the choices of readers. Originally they were plain and intended to do no more than protect the book within from the rigor and dirt of our London climate. Now they have become things of beauty, and some of them might even be a joy forever, so charming are they. Many clever artists give us many clever designs, and always the thing is to have a calling picture, the hero, the heroine, or a striking incident from the story. Jackets could not be the success they are without cutting into the color privileges of the bindings. They will never usurp those privileges. One's acquaintance with a wrapper may be an affair for a few moments, but with a binding it covers time because it implies the reading of the book. Therefore, the literary tricolor of red, blue, and green is likely to go on waving from the top shelves and other shelves of libraries, no matter how attractively and many-colored jackets may be turned out. It is a tricolor which, lightly though it has been presented, has a real psychological basis in human nature, and that is the ultimate reason why it will go on waving. So I think there are a few things to unpack here. His assertion that the binding will always matter more than the dust jacket. And I don't necessarily think that's true in the 21st century, because you either have a paperback that comes with no traditional binding at all, it's all a wrapper, it's essentially a dust jacket missing the boards, or you get what is often a very boring bound book, often in black or gray, or occasionally in a very muted red or green, but the books are designed for you to keep the dust jacket now. And many people actually read hardcover books with the dust jacket still on, and so they're not considering at all what the boards look like underneath. So I think that's quite an interesting assertion. Although Milne was perhaps right that the boards of his book would matter more than the dust jacket, because here we are almost 100 years later, and I have no clue what the dust jacket looks like. The dust jacket for Milne's book has disappeared with time, it's disappeared with the years, and I am left with a book bound in blue. Although the cover of the boards had nothing to do with my decision to look at this book or purchase it, because I did purchase it online without a seller-supplied picture. And then I think perhaps another thing to unpack here is his assertion that women are going to go for blue, red, or green books. And I'm not sure whether there is some symbolism in terms of genre based on the color of the books. Perhaps that was something that lending libraries did. I suspect that lending libraries often, when they purchase books, they would bind them themselves, or they would rebind them, or they would change out the boards, change out the covers of the book, the binding of the book. And so perhaps certain lending libraries would put, romances in red, and books for young ladies in blue, and perhaps more realist novels in green. But that's not necessarily clear here. And so perhaps, I'm imagining James Milne inside a lending library, perhaps working on writing one of his books, writing some articles for a publication, and just happening to notice that as ladies come in to look for a novel to take out, they always reach for the red ones first. And, not scientific at all, not really a study, but perhaps he noticed, they go for the red, and if they don't go for the red, they go for the blue. And so he comes up with this theory in his mind about, the psychological reasoning behind why people reach for certain books, and runs with it in the form of this essay, this chapter. But if you have any insight into any possible significance of the color of bindings in this era, so in the 1920s, be sure to let me know in the comments below. I think I'm mainly operating on the assumption here that this is a fun little theory that Milne came up with while spending time in lending libraries. So that was probably, I think, the most interesting chapter in this book so far. Up next week, we have chapter 5, which is titled The Problem Novel. And so I would suspect, I haven't read it yet, but I would suspect this is going to be another one of Milne's tirades, another one of his critical pieces against the modern 20th century novel, because I definitely get the sense that he idolized the novels of the Victorian period and is sad to see the old style of writing, the old norms and archetypes of the genre of the Victorian novel be set aside for the changing and contemporary novel of the 20th century. But we shall see.